Talk to you guys real quick about different finishes and glazings, or Bondo or filler or glazing. A lot of guys use Bondo brand or something like that. Man, that's like archaic. You guys, that's just the old way to do it. The new fillers, they can be so much faster to sand, so much easier to shape, and I'm gonna. And if you're using the cheapest filler you can get, you might want to try this stuff just so you can see um, what you're missing. So a lot of times people go out and they get the cheap filler and they go, wow, this works okay. It fills the dent, and you know you're finding out that God, it's taking me, I can sand a dent with this stuff in 5 minutes, 2 minutes, and it takes you 30 minutes to sand the other. So you're just losing a lot of time, and the strength of some of these are actually better than the Bondo. They have some flexibility. So I was over at the paint store. If you go to Riverside, one of the great paint stores is called One Stop Paint in Riverside, automotive paint, and they have this product here called Automotive Art. And Automotive Art is it's actually, just so you know, I'm going to tell you a little bit about their paint side. This is their filler, but their paint side, it's actually BASF uh, chemicals to make it. So it's got really good high quality stuff that's inside the cans, and the products really have very great coverage, and they're very inexpensive compared to some of the others. I really like them a lot better than Valspar as far as base coats go, and I haven't tried their clears because I have some clears that really work well, but I'm sure that their clear is right up there with Glycerin when you get their top brand product, because they do have a high solids clear that specs out, and it definitely is better than PPG and less expensive, of course. So do you want to try them out if you're out in the area? Go by there and check it out. But anyway, he went and comped me some of this Eurofill from Automotive Art, and I tried some of it, and I was pretty amazed in one respect. Now, I haven't used it a lot, but I was amazed about something that I wanted to tell you guys about, is the sandability of this product. Now, I pulled up the data sheets on it, and I'm not finding it to be flexible. I'm not finding it to be for not flexible. I don't find it to be a real high adhesion rate where it will stick to like paint and stuff like that. This product here even specs out to stick to wood. So the adhesion of the AG47 is outstanding. So that's one of the reasons I really like that product, USC AG47. If you haven't tried it, man, and if you're using Z Grip right now, it's like Z Grip on steroids. It's easier, it sticks better, it's easier to sand, it shapes just similar, it sands faster than Z Grip. It's like Z Grip. If Z Grip was done right, it would be USC AG47. So Z Grip is all right, is decent. If you're using Z Grip, that is actually a decent filler, but this stuff is just way better all the way around. It fills better, it doesn't pinhole, it goes down smooth. It's just got a lot of stuff going on that's really good. What goes along with that is this Pro Glaze. Now, I'm going to throw in an idea on this stuff, but Pro Glaze is really good. It sands really fast. This stuff it's really, really economical. It's dirt cheap. I don't know, it was less than $15 for glazing. That's actually pretty amazing. And for this size, I think it was like $12 or something crazy like that, but it might have been on sale. I don't know. It was really cheap, so I bought a couple of them just to try it, and I was actually really amazed because it sands really fast, kind of, some of you guys use U-Pole. I haven't used that yet, but I've heard from directly from guys who use it that stuff sands super good. It actually has some flexibility. It's a great glazing. I'm not sure on flexibility on this product. Might want to check it out. But it does work pretty well. But what I'm going to say is this stuff here actually sands faster than this and this. So this stuff sands super fast. So it might be something you might want to incorporate into your system. Like, you know, your final coat, instead of using glazing, this stuff spreads just as smooth as glazing and sands super fast, but it does have a thick filling capability. So let's say, for instance, you had a deep fill and you had something that you just couldn't get pulled out because it's so intricate. You know, what's behind it sometimes is every piece of metal is different. What's behind it, sometimes they got braces and all kinds of garbage in the way, and you have to do a deep fill. So you fill it up with some inexpensive product and you want to glaze it. You know, you can go through and just, you know, hit it with some 40 grit on your polisher, knock it down real quick, and then maybe use this product over that, because I'm sure this would adhere really well to another filler. But I asked one of my buddies about, he's tried this, and he said that he had a little bit of trouble with it feather edging onto the metal, which I didn't have. I haven't had that yet, but I'm going to go ahead and do a demo on it here. I'm going to fix this apron with this product, and then I'll show you how it works. All right, so go ahead and mix it up here, show you guys how creamy this stuff is. It's super creamy. AG47 has a little tiny bit of a grain to it, but it's still very creamy, and I don't even need glazing with it either. But that's the claim of this product, is that it is supposed to not really need glazing. So I mix this up, and it feels like it would go on really only like glazing, very thin, but it actually goes on really nice and thick. So you know, this is a hard spread right here, guys, around those holes and stuff. So I love it. And I had this guy go, "Hey man, I would have done that in one spread." Okay, right, whatever. You know, on some guy's video, and I think I did a fantastic job on the repair. But it goes on really a lot like it goes on a lot like a glazing kind of, but a little bit smoother. I mean, a little bit less smooth, maybe, and it's not quite as thin. Hopefully, I put enough hardener in here. No, I put plenty hardener. Hopefully, I didn't put too much. Is what I'm thinking. You know, in the hotter weather, I always watch the hardener I put on. That's why I made the video of, because I know other guys are doing the same thing. That's why I made the video about the hardener thing, because that happens. I'm going to use this. Ooh, it's already setting up. And you know, I talked to one of my buddies about it, and he says, "Man, stuff dried too slow. I'm not really having that problem." I'm almost wondering maybe he didn't put enough hardener in or something, because I'm not having that problem at all. This stuff sinks up super fast for me. I'm gonna go put some on some other areas real quick. Alright, so while this is drying, I'm gonna run through these tech sheets with you on the AG47 USC. It actually says here, you can stop and pause anytime. It actually, there's a steel, aluminum, fiberglass, body filler, wood, epoxy primer. It's spec to go over epoxy primer. A lot of them on the data sheets, technical data sheets, they don't spec that. I haven't seen it yet on a Evercoat Gold or anything like that, or even their AG, or even on their other product, the Z Grip. So if you see right here, though, it says high degree of stress and flexibility. So it does have some flexibility in the product where most fillers don't have that. Now here's the spec from I'll run through this whole page. There's 2 pages here, so you guys can stop and pause and just run it anytime. Hopefully it's clear. Can't really tell if it is. And here's the tech sheet for, the sanding grits and stuff like that. Now, one of the things you find with fillers is if you can finish with a finer grit sandpaper, the work comes out smoother and straighter. I mean, that's just the way here's the tech sheets for Autoart. Now, I noticed that they're kind of vague, so that kind of worries me a little bit. As far as, does this product work and last? I mean, Autoart put their name on it. They're actually, if you use their system, then they guarantee stuff. So, there's some cool stuff about the product, but you'll find that it's, the specs are very vague. So they're not saying, hey man, it'll stick to e-coats and the other things. But if you go to the guy I talked to, he went to their actual class, and they say, put it over epoxy primer. So, I'm going to check it out right now. We're going to see what the adhesion rate is to metal. If it's like my buddy said, he ran into it, didn't feather into the metal very good, which tells me it's not adhering very well. But I think it was maybe the way he mixed it or something wasn't right, because I tried it and so far it was adhering really well to just about everything I put it on. So I'm just going to talk to you guys a little bit about sanding filler and a couple things to think about when you're doing it. A lot of guys, because they've always sanded with 80 grit, or I've always sanded with 40 grit first, and I go to 80 grit, then I go to, or 36, and I go to 80, and I whatever, and then I finish out at 60 grit, whatever you're using. You always, with the new fillers, try finer paper, because finer paper is going to give you a straighter finish. It's going to give you a straighter, the body work is going to come out more straight. Now, if you want to just shape it real quick with your heavy grits, most of them will actually do that, except for I noticed that the Evercoat Gold does not like a heavy grit paper. The AG47 doesn't really care that much, but it does work better with a finer paper, which is actually a super good property of filler. The old fillers, years ago, if you tried sanding with 150 or even, anything finer than that, it was just polishing it. It wouldn't even sand it really. So and it would come out more lumpy. So you wouldn't get that straight, look. Where these newer fillers, they like finer paper. So when you get the higher grade, and sometimes it actually sands faster with, say, 150 than it actually does with 80. So the reason I'm trying to tell you this is, don't just say, hey, I do it the same way I've always done it. Try a few different things. You might find that the way that you're doing it is the old way and the new way is different. So you can hear the jets flying over. There's a fire close by. So anyway, but yeah, sorry about that. But anyway, that's just a couple things to remember when you're sanding filler. So before you say, this one doesn't work, try different things. So it's been about 15 minutes now. I just did a test area on the corner here, and it seems to sand. It's ready to go. And I'm going to use 120. Okay, I've tried this with 150. It actually works just as good with 150. 120 is a little bit faster. I picked up some 120 a while back for doing some of this stuff. I don't have a lot of 120, but I just had it laying here. So let's sand this down and see how quick it is. So I have to say that sands really fast. If you look at the car, I can't put any weight on this to push on it. If I could push on it, I could have probably sanded that in about a quarter of the amount of time. I mean, this is a 3/8 DAQ. It's a real DAQ sander. So if you're using a finer sander, I'll even use one of those for that area over there, and we'll check that out. And I'm going to use a different paper too. Now normally what I do is, I knew there were some pretty healthy waves in here. I need to do one more fill on this because there's a couple low spots. It's not really that low. I mean, probably the total fill will be about 1/8 of an inch. So, and it doesn't, I could probably just leave it like that because people go, oh my God, there's a wave in my apron. It's like, yeah, how much of it do you see when the hood's shut? It's right here. You know, the bumper grommets right here. So you see about a 2-inch area. It's kind of crazy. People spend a lot of time on the apron. It doesn't matter. So this is a Aircat 3/16 DA. We're going to use Sunmite 150, which is actually a better paper. The Sunmite actually is better than the cheap garbage 120 grit I had. So it probably will cut faster even with the 3/16 than the other one did. I have to hold this in place because what I would normally do is do my first sand with the DAQ because it's a 3/8. It goes really fast, and then I do my second one when I'm really trying to get the final shape with a finer sander like this with maybe 150. So this is actually really slow, but it's way faster than Z-grip. Z-grip is way slower than this. If I was using 150 on Z-grip, you'd be like, oh man. Which is not that bad. Z-grip is good filler, and it sands pretty fast in comparison to the cheap stuff. But this sander I really need 2 hands. For both these sanders I really need 2 hands, and I can't use them with this. Most of my body work I actually do with a DA. In fact, I do almost everything with a DA. I don't even hardly ever hand sand anything. I just, you know, when you're old and your shoulders are screwed up and stuff like that, you just can't hand sand. You know, I just can't. I can do a little bit, but I can't do very much of it. So I get everything to look pretty good with the DA, and that's it. You know, and it turns out pretty nice. When I do my Nova, I'm going to have to do some more hand sanding on that because it's got large flat panels on that. So, but it's not a very big fill. There's not a lot there, but you know, there's just a couple things you might think about if you're using, you know, look at the throw of your sander. If you're using a DA, and this one's like a 3/16, so it's a pretty fine sander. And you might want to have a larger throw, which is basically the how much it oscillates is 3/8 of an inch. That's a lot. 3/16 for this, so that's very little throw on this sander. It's very fine. Both of these sanders actually use very little air. Well, this one says it's rated at like 3 CFM, right? It's more like around, I'm finding out, around 10. This one actually uses less air than this sander, and it sands, see how much faster it sands. So just a couple things to think about when you're using filler, to try, and don't just do everything the same the way you've always tried it. Try different things, and you'll find that some of the new fillers actually work way better. But as far as would I use the Autoart in lieu of the AG47? I don't think I could. I actually tested the AG47 on. I tested this. I mean, this stuff sands almost the same, almost as fast as that. I mean, there's 2%, 5% difference. Okay. Now this sands, from what I understand, I've never used it, but sands a lot more like Rage. So if you're looking for something that's like Rage but cheaper, this stuff's about 30 bucks a gallon. This Autoart. Okay. I don't know if you can see the can down there. Here's the part number for it. He just put this on here because it was on, this is actually one of their paint labels. But the AG47, the thing about it, if you look on the data sheets, back up and check that out, pause and check that out, is you're going to find that if it specs to stick on wood, it's got a great adhesion rate. It has something that a lot of fillers don't. So that's a huge thing to me. And then if it has some flexibility, the probability of it cracking is a lot less. So a lot of the fillers are really rigid, and cars are not. Cars move. They have bumps and lumps, and especially old cars, they shake a little bit, and they, and your panels opening and shutting your door and all that. This filler is supposed to resist that. So this AG47 is supposed to be for troubled areas like that. If you read the specs, it really looks good. And does the product meet the specs? I mean, they exceed the specs that they have. So usually they'll understate stuff because they don't want lawsuits. That's typical with fillers. So that might be something to consider. But if you're using Z-Grip, I would highly suggest. Now I have a friend who's used Z-Grip for, oh God, he used it for 20 years or 15 years since it first came out. Since Z-Grip came out, it was actually a really good filler compared to the other stuff, right? And he used it for a long time, and then I took some of this over. I did, dude, try this frickin' AG47. And the specs on it are amazing. And I said, try it for what you think as far as sanding and pinholes. And he goes, oh my God, this stuff is badass. He says it's hands down better. And he's very picky about his filler. He did not like the Autoart. He thought in the metal it didn't feather in nice, and I'm not seeing that. I'm not seeing peeling edges. I'm not seeing anything that's going to map. But I don't think that's going to be a problem. It probably will last a decent amount of time. But I'm more confident in this because of the flexibility. That with this, if I was going to really worry about this, which I'm not, with this hood opening and shutting, with that movement going on all the time, I think the USC AG47 would hold up longer on that apron. But I'm not that worried about it. Everybody goes, why aren't you worried about that? And I go, I'll just sand it around and repaint it. It's no big thing. It's easy for me. But some of you guys who are doing long-term restoration, you might want to consider that and give this stuff a try. And they have an AG67 and an AG whatever. I don't know. I haven't even tried those yet. This one's so good that I haven't even looked into those. Maybe you could spec those out. Maybe they'll work out better for you. They're more money, of course. This one's like about standard price on this is like 28 bucks. So some places you can get it for 25. That's about the same price as Z-Grip. And it's just got a lot more spec to it. It has a lot more on that data sheet that it'll stick to. So anyway, keep that in mind. Talk to you next video. Please like, share, and subscribe. The bug is almost ready for the road. I'll be doing a video on this later, maybe today, after I got primer on all this stuff. And this thing's about ready to drop onto the body, onto the pan. I am not going to paint. People go, why don't you paint it off the pan? I'm like, hell no. I don't like to do that. Everybody goes, why don't you do it? Well, if I was doing a full show, I would take it off the pan, paint it, put it down, you know, paint my pan up really bitchin', all that stuff. I do not want to do that because the amount of work it takes to put it back on the pan, you know, after you painted it, you know, you have to jack that pan around so much. You guys will do that once. I've done it already, so I'm not going there again. I'll let you guys do it if you want to try it. But yeah, it's just too much work for me. I'm not going to do that. I'd rather just have it. I want to make it like an original patina look, but I think I'm going to have to end up painting of the whole car. There's just too much spot work going on here, and I got to protect some of the stuff. I can't leave that rust in the front, you know, like that, and not worry about it, because I know the car won't be here in about 10 more years if I don't do something with it now. So all the rust has been treated and repaired, and you know, so I might end up just painting the whole outside. Not going to paint the dash and the inside. I think that's where I'm going on it. All right, talk to you guys in the next video. Please like, share, and subscribe.